Persons will spend hours online and can't improve, and it's not because they're not putting in the work. It's simply because they don't have the right information to move forward. Now, I'll be explaining in this video what I use to move from an average chess player to now a FIDE Master. So this is a must watch. Also, take notes while watching the video because you want to be implementing these as much as possible in your games. Now for this game, I played pawn to e4. This is going to be targeted for roughly 1700s, but at the same time, I'll be explaining my thoughts so clearly that even a 500 ELO player will be able to understand, because again, you want the right thought process in your games. I'm simply putting my pawn in the center and again controlling the center. Now pawn center control is one of the strongest. You can also control the center with pieces, but it is recommended that you use pawns because the only thing that can actually contest a pawn center is again another pawn center from your opponent. So we now have knight to f3, knight to c6, and bishop to b5. So normally in these types of positions, persons don't know the difference between putting their bishop on c4 and putting their bishop on b5. Later on in this video, you'll learn why. So bishop to b5, I'm simply adding some pressure to this knight, and in the future could look to win this pawn on e5. Goes knight f6. Now this is going to be the first thing that you guys are going to be taking down. So as it goes for your opening repertoires, different openings work at different levels. When I was 1200, 1400, 1600, I played different openings from when I crossed 2000. And it's simply this. At the starting parts of your careers, you are learning. So you want to be getting familiar with different structures, different plans, ideas, broaden your knowledge as much as possible, and it's going to pay off long term. Don't try the tricks and traps. It's good to learn them, yes, so that you don't fall into them. But at the same time, you don't want to focus majority of your chess play learning traps. That's a quick ticket again to just losing in the long run. And here I played this move pawn to d3, going back over the same opening ideas. Now lower rated viewers will not be able to understand this, but for more persons who are advanced, black is welcoming the Berlin defense. And for me, even though you can actually allow knight takes e4 with simply castling your king, I don't recommend it. It's going into like a lot of boring endgames. It just depends on which area of your chess you're going to be working on. If you're going to be focusing on your middle games, you want openings that are going to give you strong middle game positions. If you're going to be working on your end games, then by all means you play openings that are going to be fizzled out into quick end games. It's just going to be an area of, again, where you're working at. So here I closed the center, or more likely protected my pawn in the center with d3 and simply castled my king. Now, what you're going to realize with the rating climb is that you are going to have to know the fundamentals of chess. And when I say have to, I mean have to. You're going to have to know the fundamentals of chess, because going forward, the higher you go up, you're going to have to find a balance in playing the fundamentals and knowing when to break them. Now in this position, I played pawn to h3. So think of chess as a battle of ideas where two persons are trying their best to infiltrate into their opponent's territory. So I am here with my, again, forces. I am stopping my opponent's pieces from getting into this area of the board. So the opponent's bishop wants to get to g4. h3 simply stops that, and it is going to again continue with my plan. I'm just simply stopping my opponent's plans, continuing with mine. So here my opponent simply castled his king, and again, for principal chess, I expect everybody to bring out their bishop, take out their knight, and good things will happen. The further you go up the ladder, you will learn that you can break principles here and there once you understand them. So here I played this move pawn to c3, And you're going to also realize, guys, that theory is simply the principles just fully prepared. So your opening preparation is just going to help you to find the best squares for your pieces long term. So I played c3. Now you realize that this is blocking out my knight to getting to c3. So I would not recommend you playing moves like this if you don't 100% know what you're doing. Opening preparation, meaning that you understand the fundamentals, and what you're going to be doing is finding with the prep where all your pieces go. So I went now bishop to a4, and this is going to explain, I'm going to even wait a little bit further, why the Italian, like bishop to c4 and bishop to b5 is like two separate openings. I'm going to pull it back to the start and then show you guys. So here, I played d4, bishop back to a7, and bishop back to c2. So what am I doing here? Now we understand that for the opening, I need three things to be completed. I need one, my pawn in the center. Preferably a pawn center is really strong, so that's what we aim for. A pawn in the center, my minor piece is out, and king safety. Currently, I don't have my knight on d2 and my bishop on c1 developed. So I played d4. The more pawns you get in the center, the better. And as you can realize that my b having the pawn center, I'm blocking out pieces. So I now played bishop to c2, protecting the pawn on e4. So my opponent then played knight to g6, and I proceeded again with my development. I am still in the openings. I'm trying to get my pieces off the back rank. b5, and this is again going back all the way to the start. So the difference between bishop to c4 and bishop to b5 is that one provokes a6 and b5, and what this is doing is giving again the white pieces something to target in the middle game. And as you saw, I played this move pawn to a4. So for this is going to be for now a little bit advanced players. Now here, most persons just continue normally with just connecting their rooks and bringing the rook to either like the d or the e file. Now that can only bring you a, again, like so far in chess. Again, you learn the fundamentals. You are going to know at what point in your life or career you can actually break away from this, and you're going to go into something I like to call advanced planning. Now with my other videos, you'd have heard about like the pawn breaks, things to actually look for when you're playing the middle game. Now our rooks are, this is basically the piece I see persons struggle with the most in terms of activation. You need to look for pawn trades to activate your rooks. So here, after playing a4, basically putting contact with these two pawns, I am threatening to open the a file by all means. That is how I'm planning to get my rook into the game instead of using the d or the e files. So he now played bishop to b7. My opponent is again just finishing his development. This is what, again, if you're struggling with development, that is going to again create like a huge gap in your gameplay. You need to fix those as quickly as possible. I now went knight to d2, and my opponent captured on a4. Now this is where most persons struggle in the middle game. I've already taken out all their pieces, and they're like, all right, what do I do now? No, you guys would have heard before that to take is a mistake. You need to look to improve your pieces as much as possible. You want every single thing to be on its best square. Now, that doesn't mean just simply getting the pieces off the back rank and putting them to random squares. You need to look at all your pieces, every single one of them, and hope that you can optimize them as much. I don't even know why I said hope. Get them optimized, guys. Yes. So if you can't find an area or a piece to optimize, you simply get it off the board. So if I can't find a space for this bishop or this, I am looking to trade it for one of my opponent's pieces. If he does give you the luxury, however, to get your pieces out freely, then you just do it. Now, in chess, there's this thing called the drawback principle. Before you move a piece, you want to know what it was defending before. So like this e pawn here, my opponent has two attackers. I have one single like, oh, never mind. He has to attack because I have 2 defenders. If I move my bishop away, then he's going to win the pawn on e4. So I simply took back with my rook. And this is again entering into seriously dangerous territory for my opponent. Now, what's happening here? How can simply bringing my rook in the game be dangerous for my opponent? No, by him giving me routes for more activity, he's literally putting himself in a very defensive positions, which is absolutely not called for. So here he went rook to e8, and now I went queen to b1. Now this again, even for advanced players, they struggle a lot finding plans for their pieces. Now my question to you is, where is the queen most active? Is it more active on e2 or is it more active on a2? It has to be doing work. Also, the same thing I was telling you guys earlier with the counting, you need to check how many attackers somebody has on a piece, relevant to the amount of defenders. Now, the first thing when somebody plays, remember, it's the battle of ideas. You need to ask yourself, why did my opponent play his last move? And then you would see that he's threatening to take on d4. So I need to actually get an extra attack defender on that e4 pawn. So queen to b1, queen to d7. He now connects his rooks. And let's get into business. My rook needs more work. My rook on f1 needs more work. Even though my bishop is on c2 and it's developed, it is not in aggressive formation. You need everything to be doing aggressive work, like attacking. In full action, guys. I played d5. Here, this is perfect things that you need to write down. If you haven't written down anything already, this, again, you need to. You need to be blocking out your opponent's pieces and activating yours. Remember, it's a battle of ideas. If he has 3 points of material looking at a pawn, that means it's bad. You need to get your 5 points in the game. Like, again, activate your pieces, kill or block your opponent's pieces. Now, he went knight to f4. He's trying his best to play aggressive. Pieces in or half of the board. Now, this is also something that you can put down. Remember, he's trying to infiltrate your half. You're trying to infiltrate his half. I, with 100% belief, remove as many pieces from my half as possible. That's how you eliminate danger, guys. So now he took back with the pawn. And I simply activated my rook along the b file. This is the beginning of a squeeze. His bishop, however, that's the piece I was playing against, is running out of squares. It has to either undevelop or go to some, again, bad area. But the thing is, the minute this move is played, it is also paving the way for another piece. Remember, I am looking at all my pieces when playing chess. Everybody, 1700s, even 2000s. Come on, guys. Like, look at this. Every piece. You can even be looking at this at a different level, but put it this way. He played c6, but what was my threat with rook to b4? Was it just to attack the bishop? No, it was not. It was also to get my bishop to a4. And as you can see, the skewer is on the board, guys. So he played c6, but guess what? It's the middle game, and we look at activating pieces. Now, we need momentum when playing chess. You don't want to be making like average moves, such as like bringing your rook to the e file, because it's a two-player game. So your opponent will also start kicking back your pieces and improving theirs. So whenever you have the advantage in chess, I made a video recently even on the initiative, you want all your moves to come with a threat. So here, my bishop isn't doing anything. It's a development move that actually comes with a threat. I'm putting a serious spin on this diagonal. And moreover, what was the purpose of my move? So, This is another thing I see persons do a lot. They play a lot of chicken chess, guys, where somebody attacks them and their first instinct is to run away. That's not how we do it. Always check your forcing moves in chess, your checks, your captures, your threats. Now in this position, I look forward. I'm looking at pawn takes c6, moves in which force my opponent to respond to me, or rook takes b7. He is forced to respond to me. I'm looking for my forcing moves to actually take my opponent out of his misery. Queen takes b7 on the board, and now we see the purpose. Bishop takes c6. Queen moves, and just like that, we are up a pawn. Now, this is also going to be tipping over in how to convert a position. Now, persons here, I don't know why, but everybody who I talk to just has this automatic belief that they need to trade. And that is, I mean, it's not like fully rubbish, but it's trade what? Trade your passive pieces. Keep your active pieces on the board. So you need pieces like really being as annoying as possible in your opponent's territory. That's how you win more material, guys. It's not a case where you're like, I want a pawn, abandon ship, and you just start retreating all your pieces, trying to play like a little turtle. No. You keep your advantage, and if you have bad pieces on the board, you try to swap those off for your opponents. You still look for weaknesses in your opponent's camp. You don't take your foot off the gas pedal. You just go forward. I am looking for squares in my opponent's half with my pieces. I then move forward with my knight. Now, a quick question. Would you trade your knight for this bishop? Or would you be like, all right, my knight is extremely active in his side of the board. I need to get more pieces over there. So it's not trading. It's trading your passive pieces. We need that absolutely cleared. So knight to c6, knight to d7. My opponent is, again, trying to activate some of his pieces. We're doing the same. We're getting pieces that are not doing anything into the game. That is simply chess, guys. Knight to c5, knight to d4, and now he played g5. Now, this is what I call a panic. Now, in every single chess game, I told you guys, pawn moves is absolutely terrible for the side that is defending. If you're attacking, however, pawn moves are super useful. Pawn moves leave a lot of squares for your opponents to crash through. And this is going to be the difference again between average players and pros. I would see persons just again like playing normal moves. This is okay. So for guys watching this video, don't be too hard on yourself if Stockfish is telling you that you missed a winner or whatever. Don't focus on that too much. You can simply get your pieces into the game naturally and you would have won effortlessly. Just remember, don't trade mindlessly. Activate your pieces and things will go good. But for this game, I looked for my pawn break and I played this move pawn to e5. And this is again how masters think. We look at every piece that is not doing work. I'm not here like, all right, my two knights are in the game. What next? Let me trade some pieces and try to play chess. No, I'm like, my queen isn't doing anything. My rook isn't doing anything. I need to get them into the game. Now, after e5, my opponent took the pawn, and this is another thing that you guys need to put. When somebody attacks you, again, first instinct, not to retreat. No chicken chess. Counter attack. Queen to f5. Now, the first move that comes to your mind is normally good. But if you want to increase your level, look for a better one. See a good move, guys. Look for a better one. Now, queen to f5 is simply just threatening checkmate on the spot. So after he took my knight, I simply recaptured on g5. King went to the corner. Give him another check. King to g7, and the final move to actually seal this checkmate was rook to e1. Now, you know what, just to ensure that you guys aren't like sacrificing pieces mindlessly, let me cover this. So here, I wouldn't sacrifice my knight if all of this wasn't calculated in advance. Now, practice to play towards what you can see. So rook coming to e1. I saw all of this. I'm still looking how to coordinate all my pieces. And in another video, I'll talk about misplaced pieces, which is going to explain why this sacrifice is so clean. But after knight to d7, I'm assuming he just played on just to let the checkmate play out with knight to e7 and queen to h8. But there's literally no way to stop this. It's no way to stop it except to stop the queen on c6. But look at it. You could have played normal chess. Nothing would happen. If you see a way through, in other words, don't just sack a piece for no reason at all. Lose the game and be like, Stockfish said I was winning. No. What you can see. So for all this, I hope you guys took something valuable away from this video. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks again for watching, guys. Let's go.